This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What is up, guys? We are here in Indianapolis, Indiana for the NFL Combine. Myself, Haley Lewis, joined by BJ Kissel and Tucker Franklin. We got the Kansas City Sports Network draft show coming your way. And we're probably not really going to talk so much about, did I say draft? I said draft show. Is this the draft show, the Combine show?
This is, we're going to tell a story about Tucker that everybody needs to hear. And you're going to enjoy it. It's not going to be the analysis. We have plenty of content. We've got all the draft analysts, and we've been paying attention to what's going on. But this show is about Tucker getting primed.
You want to explain what that means for the people?
Prime 47, right? Isn't it
Prime 47?
Yeah.
Specifically.
I think I called it Prime Social earlier, but that's a place in Kansas City. Prime 47. I might have just had a couple of too many beverages one night. And that was, it was a good time hanging out with a bunch of people. I don't want to name drop.
I don't know if we can do this show without name dropping, but we'll explain. So
yeah, we'll set the scene. Set the scene.
Here's some context. When you come to the NFL Scouting Combine, a lot of the GMs and the coaches and the agents and the national media and a lot of the people that we all watch on, all the big network TV, talking football, they all have to go out to eat and they all hang out in places during the Combine.
They have to.
Where that's why so many rumors and all the different reports and so-and-so's getting cut and all this stuff happens from people just walking around hanging out in bars and overhearing things and having too much to drink. But Prime 47 is one of the premier places that everybody goes. It's the best steak I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Has been at Prime. We come here every year. And it's just a cool place to kind of people watch and just kind of be in there and learn things and hang out with people that share similar passions as you do. It's just one of the really nice, fancy places. And what was really cool about Thursday night, and for me, I've been doing this with Matt Miller every year since I've been coming to the Combine. We have one night where we go to Prime and we sit together. And this was the night we went on Thursday night. And the reservation was at 9:15.
Yeah, let's specify.
It was a late reservation. It was the only thing that was available. And when you walk in, there's like a bar to your left. A lot of people hang out. And by the end of the night, it just turns into a giant bar. They remove a lot of the tables. But when you walk in, there's all different kinds of places to sit. And in the past, they shoved us in a corner. You kind of go because they've got premier tables for everybody else. For whatever reason, they gave us the nicest table in the place. And there's no way to do this without name drop. Mike McDaniel was sitting behind us for a solid 3 hours, eating dinner and hanging out as well. And we had the table right when you first walked in. And it was the three of us, along with Nate Taylor and Matt Miller, that were the original people that were there eating dinner together. And by the end of the night, the table was just surrounded by all these people.
We're engulfed.
We were engulfed by all the...
We're engulfed by the riches.
We don't want to name drop, but I didn't realize that you're best friends with Laura Rutledge either.
No,
so if she comes up, it's like, Haley. And when she's with Field Yates, and it's like, we know sweet. Matt works with Field and Nate knows everybody. And so you guys are chatting, you and Laura are chatting like your long lost friends. Field's coming over and I'm talking to him about stuff because he's one of the nicest people that covers the NFL and he's awesome. So talk to him for a minute, but you're just surrounded. I thank Jeremy Fowler for breaking all the news.
We had a great conversation.
He just walked and had coffee with Brett coming from the Starbucks over here, which is where he got all the information. It's just fun to learn all the tweets come out and everybody reports it and it gets aggregated everywhere. And you learn how it actually happens. You just
quite
ran into him
through just chit-chatting over a big old steak and too much old-fashioned on draft. That's what you guys... Okay, so I was drinking wine.
Yeah, we'll get back to the Prime. But we had a great table, we had a great setup, great food, and the drinks, they were flowing. And it got to about 3:00, and then we were like, you know what? Probably time to go.
How did you get to 3 a.m.?
And he goes, I got 2 drinks. What am I gonna do?
Still got to finish.
So Tucker was going to stay a little later. So we went back and we were supposed to be up at 10. Supposed to be up over here by 10:30.
10:20 podium interview that I did not make it to.
At 9:30, we were going to leave because we were about a mile from Lucas Oil. Parking's not bad, and we Ubered quite a bit this time because it was easier. But at 9:30, we were going to leave. About 9:32, I knocked on your door and opened it, just hoping he was there.
Yeah.
First of all, and I thought it was going to. Yeah, I thought it was going to turn into The Hangover, where we're going to be searching for you if we could not find you. So I didn't go to sleep till 4.
The top of Lucas Oil.
It's probably after 4:15. And
no, it was a long time.
Do not roll like this anymore. But you were in there, it took a while to wake you up, and you're just kind of a
Well,
you were breathing.
That was like a couple hours after I got home too.
Which you left at 5.
I left the bar at 5. Yeah. Somehow, God willing, I got into an Uber, and the Uber dropped me off, and I got into I put in the.
Did you say
that house too? Was like
Solid.
I made it all the way to my.
You did not make it to Cody Schrader though. You didn't really make it to anything that day.
I was wondering where you were.
And it's funny is by the time you texted and was like, "Hey, I'm up. What are you guys doing?" It's like, "We just got back. We're going to take naps."
Take a nap.
Yeah, and I said, "Sweet, I can take a nap again."
We literally had 3.5 maybe hours of sleep, and I wear something that tracks my sleep, and so it was. And I've already been treating my body like a pile of trash for a while, and it constantly reminds me that I'm not doing well. Well, it was literally like on a scale from 1 to 100, I got scored a 28 on my sleep, and it was like, something seems to be disturbing you as of late. Like, A, that's called stress, but also B, prime. I stayed on the wine. I was not doing the old fashions, but when the cups changed from glass over to plastic, that was when the whole night turned.
Well, they took my water away.
They did.
Is what happened.
Water.
So they took my water away, and I didn't
some plastic cups,
and I didn't think to ask for another one. So I was just like, knocking them back.
That was Creed Humphreys, so they gave us the...
For reference, and for people who might be watching or listening, think of a regular, like, what would that be? How many ounces would that be? A regular cup?
Probably like 12. Right?
Yeah, at least. And the old-fashioned was not filled like in a cocktail glass. It was filled to the brim of these cups.
They were probably double old-fashioned.
Oh, my gosh. And when I tasted one of yours...
It was really strong.
Should be. Probably like $25 a piece or... whatever they were.
Who knows?
I'd like to shout out Nate Taylor because I did not pay for those.
Yeah, I told Tucker, I said, welcome to being a girl.
Thank you.
Shout out to BJ as well and everyone who took care of that night. It was a fun night. We paid for it. It was very painful the next day. I know BJ and I slowly declined as we got here. We were on Radio Row. We were getting interviews, and all of a sudden we just keep looking at each other, and BJ's like, I'm not doing well.
It's like, I'm getting worse.
I need to go home.
I'm feeling worse.
We went back, maybe took 4-hour naps each, everyone did, and rallied the troops, and by about 6:30, we were hot again.
We were over watching workouts at the stadium, watching guys run 40s, and
we reemerged.
Yeah, laughing that the whole Chiefs crew was gone.
Yeah.
Everybody left.
Chargers, Chiefs, who else was gone?
There's probably a lot of coaches and personnel people that were already gone, but it was just funny because, like, the Chiefs, like, when you're sitting in Lucas Oil, where we're sitting on the other side of the stadium, all the suites have, if you watch the Combine at all on NFL Network, you'll see they'll show, like, the coaches and whatever. And the reason they know which one they're in is because there's a sign below, if you don't see it in the shot, it says, like, Carolina Panthers, and it's got all the Panthers people in there. But when you could see, like, which suites had people in them, and it was the Chargers and Chiefs right next to each other, nobody in there.
Lights were off since Thursday.
They got the interviews done, they got their medical personnel stuff done, and they can watch the rest on TV. To get that experience. But yeah, it's a fun trip. It's not over yet. It's winding down, but this is definitely going to be like the Combine that Tucker got primed. Is how I'm going to remember it as of right now.
Met a lot of great people.
But in fairness, you've done great work. Well, and I got Cody Schrader, so we covered you there.
I got Cody.
And we got all the content that we came here for. So as much as people are thinking that we are giving them our time. But
I deserve it.
You have a good time, and you some lessons you got to learn.
Yeah. I remember waking up that morning like, okay, so you're in your 20s, I'm in my 30s, you're in your 40s. I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I can rally. But then once I woke, I was like a guppy out of water, being like right when you wake up in the morning and just be like, water, like SpongeBob when he needs water. It was terrible. It's just the recovery. I can't do that anymore.
I think you quote tweeted, and I saw it, the Robert Mays' tweet saying the Combine is also for media. So you can hang until 3 a.m.
Get through it.
Only eating steaks and drinking.
Yeah, my draft capital went.
Because media, like, first couple days, everybody's excited. By the third, like, everybody's kind of dragging. I had a few people tell me that day, like, you okay? Like, you're a little tired.
A lot of people look that way.
Like, as one day. Although I had gotten sick the night before and was out of commission. So to be fair to you, I did the same thing the night before, but that was after 2 drinks at Kilroy. I have no idea why I got the migraine that night, because felt better after being up till 4 than I did the night before, being up till 12 and drinking a third of as much.
And since we've treated our bodies so well, what we're going to go do is the NFL Combine experience after this. So We're going to have a 40-yard dash. We're running.
Yeah.
Do some cones.
Stretch. I can't pull a muscle.
Well, they do. Well, do they allow the bench press? We'll have to find out. We'll see what's out there. But we're going to put our skills to the test.
Maybe a fake bench,
Like a fake.
Yeah.
Not like a real rack.
To sign a waiver. There's no way the NFL, like,
Oh,
somebody gets hurt.
I mean more of like they give you a Rebo bar and
tear
you're
a
just laying
pec.
down.
Ooh, that'd be good content, though, if I tore back doing a bench.
Oh.
See the bruise? You ever see the bruise of, like, a torn
It's
pec?
nasty.
It is.
It's really nasty.
You kind of want it, though.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
I think it would look cool.
Okay.
A little
I'm
bit.
glad we have it on camera so if that happens. I don't get Tara being like, what'd you do to him? He wanted to do this.
He wanted to bench so much his pec.
It's gonna be good content. It's gonna be fun. But I mean, all in all, this is such a busy weekend or week to weekend. It's what, 8 days almost?
Yeah. I have a question for you. Since this is the first time that you've been to
Oh,
the Combine, like, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned in being here, hearing about it, and then now once you're finally here to see it?
Yeah, I guess so. I've covered it. So I've covered it 4 times already remotely, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen all the interviews, seen the on-field stuff, seen everything from the TV's perspective, and then of course we get the media. We cut it up when it gets back.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that kind of shocked me was how much involvement from the media there was here. Like I understood that it was I knew it was going to be kind of like a Super Bowl thing, or have the radio row, have all this stuff involved, but it's just as important of a thing for media outlets as it is for the players, I feel like. And I didn't really recognize that, the fact that this is so important also for people to network, for people to get other interviews, get other insight in, like the fact that we have analysts, obviously there's connections, but from ESPN and from Sports Center and from NFL Network being able to bleed over and talk to people, local people, and get those interviews, that was fun. And then also to just watch it in person, watch the fans that get to come in and react to it. This is something where one day I would love if my dad could come up with me to this and just be able to see it, because it's very cool to be able to watch. But it is interesting how right when the 40-yard dash starts or some event starts, everyone just goes quiet.
Yeah.
And it's like dead silent in that stadium. And then you hear like a yeah at the very end of it or something, but it's pretty cool.
You could tell the families are there.
Oh, yeah.
Watching, because somebody run a 40 and you hear like 2 people like, going crazy, like, there's the parents. But you can also see, and they sat in front of us yesterday, a lot of the trainers.
Yeah.
And the people that are working with these players,
Yep.
the speed trainers and the strength conditioning people. There's dozens or hundreds, or I don't know how many of those companies are out there, but all of those people are here because those players, and we did this several years ago with the Exos guys, and Andrew Spruill, Chiefs fan, works with Kelsey, is famous on Twitter. But I went over with the Exos guys when I was working at the Chiefs, and we went and hung out with the guys that were doing stretches and massages at night. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and these players, once they get through all of this stuff, they've got to take care of their bodies, get their bodies right. So they had to set up in one of the hotels and like one of the ballrooms that it was just like massage tables everywhere, it was stretches, it was getting ready for the 40s. So like the night before these players run their 40s, they go spend time with their strength conditioning people who have rented out ballrooms at all the different hotels. It's just there's so much that goes into this that it's really cool to kind of see the behind the scenes of how it comes together. But nothing is more important this week from a fan's perspective than the stuff that we saw Thursday night. As much as we joke about it, everybody being at Prime and drinking and walking around and all the people hanging out and socializing, that's where all these reports come from. That's why when you get on and there's all of this news coming out, all of that news is coming out is because you have a concentrated group of people in the same place and a lot of alcohol. It's stuff just flowing, but it's cool because you can network, you can meet people. It's hard to quantify even for like KCSN. Sometimes it's hard to quantify. We're here, we're in this, we're doing things, but we're talking to people. You're meeting national people and media people that will come on as guests now that they know you a little bit on KCSN. They get to see and kind of talk to you, get to know you a little bit away from just professionally asking to do an interview. You do an interview, you never see them again. That's what's cool about this. And that there's nothing that anyone, you go to like cover the Super Bowl radio row, everybody's talking about one specific game and everybody's got their stuff going on. This is a little different because everybody's creating content in the radio, on Radio Row. All the radio stations across the country are doing live stuff, but there's not this game and everyone's kind of pointed to it. Once you're done, it's done for the night. And that's where everybody can kind of relax and hang out, which I think is what makes the Combine a little bit more unique in that way than a lot of other places.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, and the networking has been really good. And we've gotten a lot of news. On the Chiefs side of things. there's been a lot of stuff that's come out. So Combine's really good to get. I mean, we're recording this while some events are going on, and you see the events go on big day. But yeah, I mean, look, I enjoyed myself on Thursday night, maybe a little too much, but getting to know a lot of those people, like coming by and just getting talk is really a cool reason to just to be here. I think you made a really good point, though, Haley, about it being important for the media too.
Yeah, I'm curious from you've talked, Haley, to a lot of the different analysts and people. Like, what sense are you getting? Not what the Chiefs are going to do, because we don't know what the Chiefs are going to do. We haven't got to free agency, but what's the consensus that you've got from the media people that you've talked to, what the Chiefs should do?
Okay, so it's interesting because whenever you win the Super Bowl, which we have been blessed to say multiple times as people in media, it's always interesting to see how they, it's almost like you kind of a little bit have a teeny bit of a pedestal, because they're like, okay, so they have the local beat on this thing that we are trying to have the national beat on, because everyone wants to beat on the Chiefs. Yeah. And so you get these conversations rolling, and they're very invested in what you know and vice versa. But what I think a lot of people have been saying, or that I've talked to on the national stage about what the Chiefs should do, it's really this whole thing with L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones. They've got to figure out what's going on. Yep. A lot of people are leaning, without naming sources, to the fact that it looks like Sneed and the Chiefs are going to be parting ways, and then they're going to find a way to get this Chris Jones deal done. But the thing that people are freaking out about is you got to get the Chris Jones deal done, because he will go get the money elsewhere, and we know it's been offered elsewhere. You know, those are the little rumors that are going around. So the Chiefs really got to figure that out first. But I also think the fact that, you know, today's a really important day for Kansas City just to be watching, because they're watching, you know, wide receivers who are going to be a big part of how they bolster up their roster. And then also, you know, offensive linemen going tomorrow, looking for a left tackle, looking for maybe even just someone to put in the rotation. I think that's been the key points. Everyone's been talking about wide receivers, left tackle, and then the Sneed, of course, Jones situation that they got to figure out. But it's interesting because people really are interested, you know, in what you have to say, because we're the ones on the ground every day with this kind of thing.
And those were every time that, like, we were talking to somebody new.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this? Okay, so what about Jones? What have you been hearing about that? We were lucky enough, you know, Nate Taylor broke the news about his contract situation that they got with Diana Rossini, and we were fortunate enough to have him on the Only Word Games podcast kind of break that down a little bit. There's a lot of interesting stuff that I think can go on and impact what the Chiefs do at 32. Like, there's a lot that can happen between now and April. I don't know. It's 26th. I think that's when the first day of the draft is. March free agency starts March 11th. Legal tampering.
I know. So, then the 11th and the 13th. It's just like,
and it's all happening right now. Yeah. It's all happening now. A lot of things are already done. You've heard rumors, and not anything I really want to pass along because you don't know, but there's a lot of things that are preset weeks, if not a couple months in advance. And we just kind of play catch up in finding out all of the news after the fact, when it actually gets officially reported by one of the big national people, Ian or Schefter. My favorite thing is walking around after the Chiefs win another Super Bowl and people congratulating us like we had anything to do with it.
Okay, that's what I mean by the pedestal thing. They're just kind of like, I'm like, okay,
Well, you have to have, like,
sure I did.
I'm a smart ass anyways. Like, I have those comments, but I don't know a lot of the people well enough that are saying congrats to me to be like, I played really hard. You get to that to Ben Solak, the Ringers, like, hey, congratulations, like, played really hard, man. Like, worked hard for that when everyone doubted me, but we still got it done.
Persevered.
We fought through a rough patch there, but we got it done.
PFT commenter was one of those guys who Matt Miller introduced me to him, and he said, "Hey, congrats on the Super Bowl."
Got up and you were like, "I'm talking."
I said, "I got to talk to him." And Matt Miller introduced me to him, and he said, "Congrats on the Super Bowl." And I said, "I didn't really do anything, but I appreciate it." That was funny, so I'm gonna think about that for a while.
What was you guys? I'll ask you about both. What was your favorite conversation you had with someone?
Well, when I was out till 5 a.m,
I was going to say, what did it come from? Prime?
Yeah, the conversations I was having were Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes arguments.
Okay.
I think a lot of people in Kansas City have those arguments at 5 o'clock in the morning that are pretty alcohol-induced, but I was having it with people who were Patriots reporters arguing about how Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady.
Talk about Gronk and Kelsey? Or do you even remember?
I don't think we talked about Gronk and Kelsey. That one's outlandish, by the way. That's even a conversation, truthfully. But I did a conversation.
It's such a better conversation on his own without any backup, just like taking down these Patriots.
Nate was there.
Nate was there. Nate held my hand along the way. He guided me through this. I I told Nate I needed to get the scoops. He's like, the scoops. This is when we're here. We're here.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll have more on our combine experience and what we've heard, what we've got going on. I'll share my favorite conversation. It's a little bit more boring. That's a great tease. We'll be right back after this.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to the NFL Combine. Myself, Haley Lewis, joined by BJ Kissel and Tucker Franklin. We are here on the Kansas City Sports Network. We're calling it our draft show. We're talking about what's been going on here at the Combine, our favorite memories. We talked about how Tuck got primed, how we got semi-primed. I don't know. I had like a really bad headache after that. But BJ, tell me your favorite. We're talking about favorite conversations that we've had with people throughout the Combine. What stands out to you?
I haven't had as many of the conversations with a lot of people. I've been talking to a lot of people that I've known for a long time, and I get in my feels about this stuff because I'm really appreciative of being able to come back here with different platforms. It's like my third different time here, different people that we work with, obviously with KCSN now, and getting a chance to like hang out. It was the night I ended up not feeling good the next day, but hanging out with Matt Miller. A lot of people know him as ESPN draft analyst. Matt's been one of my best friends in this business and somebody that's helped me along the way. And I got it in talking with, put out a post on social media today with a picture with Cecil Lammey. He covers the Denver Broncos over in Denver for a couple different radio stations, worked for Football Outsiders. When I first went to my first NFL draft event back in 2013, I was at the Senior Bowl. I had checked in. I put the long post up on social media, but when I went out there, that time I was working at Arrowhead Pride. I was working for SB Nation. I was working 30 hours a week, making $400 a month, trying to figure out like, how do I make this like a longer term thing? And I had a mutual friend with Field Yates, who's now at ESPN. Everyone knows who Field Yates is. I had maybe an hour-long conversation with Field saying, how do I move up in this business? Like, what do I do here? I'm blogging. I'm on the outside. Like, how do I take some sort of step forward? He said, you got to get in front of athletes. And at the time, I was like, how do I do that? I can't get credentialed. Like, I'm at a blog. I'm unpaid, like barely paid, which wasn't a problem. I'm not saying that at all. I was doing it because I loved it. But remember Field saying, get in front of athletes, and then finding out Senior Bowl, like, they'll credential you. Like, they're not a tough credential to get through. They want a lot of people covering it. So I went to the Senior Bowl with about all the money that my wife and I had at the time to try and see if I could network. And if nothing came from the Senior Bowl that year, I was going to stop doing media stuff. Like, I was going to go find another regular job and kind of give up that side, because I've been doing it for like 4 years. Hadn't made a whole lot of money. Wasn't anything that was sustainable. I get to the Senior Bowl. I go by myself. I don't know anyone. I have a lot of pressure on me that no one else knows because I'm trying to make this thing work. And I got there, had no idea what I was doing, and kind of looked lost, and I was scared because it's intimidating if you don't know what you're doing. And Cecil Lammey, who I did not know at all at the time, saw me, probably just felt bad because I looked lost, and I was lost. But he said, hey, is this your first time here? Apparently it was obvious. And he said, come hang out with us. We'll show you around. We'll show you how everything works. You don't have to worry about it. I felt so much better after that. And 11 years later, I see Cecil at all these events. And every time I see him, I go, I can't believe, like, I don't know if I'd be here if it weren't for you. Well, I saw Field Yates the other night and brought that story up to him because I had seen Cecil, and it just made me remember that. Well, that same Senior Bowl is when I met Matt Miller in person for the first time. We had followed each other, but didn't know him well. That led me to getting hired at Bleacher Report. It led to being at Bleacher Report, going to the Senior Bowl the next year, writing a story on Rob Huron, who's a Wyoming wide receiver, which is one of the stories that got me the job at the Chiefs. Like, everything just kind of connected. So when I come to these and I see all these people that invested and helped me at a time they didn't have to, it's hard for me not to just feel all the just appreciation and just grateful for how nice people are here. So I spend time here. If anybody has any questions, I will do anything for anybody who wants to get into this business to pay it forward, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So my favorite stories and my favorite conversations are sitting and talking with Matt Miller about how he's got his Sports Center hits and he's got all this. Yeah. It's like, man, this is awesome. Like, we've known each other a long time before it's ESPN. It's really cool.
That's a really cool story.
So mine's not that good.
Sorry, that was a long story, but like that's what I feel when I'm here, is seeing all these people that help me be in a position to be here with the company that all of us are helping build together.
Mine's about a pair of ripped pants.
Oh, yes.
And why I chose to bring up this conversation after 3 glasses of wine. I saw Jeremy Fowler, who we all know, and, he's important, does stuff. I met him when I was green, and had just started in Kansas City. It was my second job. I had been out in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, and then came to Kansas City to start covering was just on their way to gain their first Super Bowl. He comes in. I don't know who he is by his face. And he has a pair of pants on in the suit, and his pants are ripped right up his butts. And I'm thinking, I'll go tell him. How embarrassing. You don't want to have your pants ripped. So I walk over. I'm like, hey, man, your pants are ripped. He's in the locker room of the Chiefs, and he's like, and obviously who wouldn't get flustered or embarrassed, and just like walks out. And I told my then sports director, I'm like, wait, did I just upset him? He goes, well, I told you not to do it. Just let him find out on his own. He goes, you as a young girl going up and calling him out on his ripped pants. I was like, I didn't want it. I would want to be like, I would want to know if I had a rip in my pants.
Right.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. So I was like, you got to tell the man he's got a rip in his pants. So he goes out, changes, comes back in. We don't talk about it. We don't say anything about it. We just move forward. I hadn't seen him since then in person. Of course, he walks into Prime last night, and I'm like, listen, I got to tell you the first time I met you, what I said and what I did. And he literally was drinking his cocktail, and he's like, oh. And it was also his birthday. Anyways, he ended up taking it like a good sport. He laughed about it or whatnot, but he was probably like telling his buddies later, this random girl from Kansas City, like 3 drinks in, comes over and tells me some episode of Rip Pants.
And he remembered that.
He did, because he told me it was a cheap suit and he had to go back and get another one that he had because he wasn't traveling with all his stuff. I chose that time, and I even looked at Tucker. I said, I'm going to say it. And Tucker was like,
I have no. This is the first time I've heard this story.
I'm going to bring it up. And Tucker's like, don't.
You were sitting on the other side of Pride. It was so loud in there that I could not hear anything you guys were saying.
Maybe Tucker was just like, don't bug him. I don't know what, but I went in for it. So, anyways, apologies, man. I made it worse than it was.
That's fun. My favorite parts of that story is I can't believe he had a backup pair of pants that were that.
It's hard. Like he went change and right back into the facility at Arrowhead.
I just deal with it, or just like wrap a towel. Like I don't know what I would do in that situation, because I would not have backup.
I would go home.
It is a tough situation though, because then you would like leave and you like realize, oh no, I have a rip in my pants.
Yeah,
like everyone
saw that same thing.
And didn't say anything to me.
And then, of course, I'm just like, why would I think that it would be a wonderful segue into, hi, I'm Haley Lewis.
Nice to meet you.
One time I told you about your pants. But the fact that he remembered and laughed about it, and then he ended up hanging around the table too, and it was a great place, and everyone was having a fun time. So, Jeremy, sorry.
I have no idea.
Appreciate you listening to my wine drunk conversation.
The entire time, I kept looking at Matt, because I was sitting next to Matt. Tucker was right next to me on this like 4 or 5 people, and then Nate and Haley were on the other side of the table. That anytime you guys were talking, I just smile and nod. I look at Matt and go, I have no idea what they're saying. So like when Laura came up and like introduced, it was like, hey, and then Mina Kimes came up and was just like, I can't hear anything you guys are saying, but I'm just gonna smile and nod.
Smile and wave.
And just take a lot of drinks, because then it's not like I'm talking.
Laura Rutledge did say, are you the guy that chugs stuff? And has
that's because I told her, I was like, he chugged something at the parade.
Who is the?
Then I said you were on Kay's show chugging something.
Yeah.
The Raiders team, the Raiders video guys.
Yeah.
Aren't you the guy that was on the national show drinking?
That's me.
That's our Tucker.
I have a friend. He was wearing the Generation X hat that was super sick.
Yeah.
Nice.
There were a lot of important people in there that I knew were important, but I didn't know their names. Does that make sense?
Joe Brady was right behind us.
Was he?
You kept saying it. He's one with the chain.
Yeah. He looks like a college kid.
Yeah, he did not look.
Yeah, he doesn't look
not what I expected.
mean? You know that so many people in there. I was like, I told him, I was like, I want this to be a show where they put a dollar sign or like a name above them, and it follows you. It's a little arrow above your head, and it follows you around the whole night, so you know who is who in the room.
Yeah, I did. I always know
like negative 13,000.
Yeah, like how did they get this table? Is what I would say. Yes. Like how did these 5 people get this table? When Mike McDaniel's behind us, and then like Bob Lamont had it like sectioned off.
He did.
Section. Bob Lamont's Andy Reid's agent. He reps like,
and there was also
80% of the coaches in the National Football League is one the same eight. That's probably exaggerated. He reps a ton of the coaches, and I'd say at one point like half of the coaches in the National Football League, and he has like his section that he has. I don't think it's every night. It's every time I've ever been there, he's had that corner It's like, I don't know who's over there, but those are important people.
A lot of important people, and us peasants holding down that Monopoly. We were like, if this was Monopoly, this real estate would be so hot.
Stephen Jones was at the table next to Sean Payton. I saw them for a while. And then a bunch of other people that you recognize were like, I don't know how I know that person, but I know I'm supposed to know who that is.
I know you're important. And
Yeah.
I'm also scared.
Yeah. A lot of the national media came in towards the end.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's where everybody hangs out.
Is what happened.
Yeah.
Is that why everybody came over?
Yeah.
That makes sense. We hadn't gone to High Velocity this year.
Did
It's the
not
first
go.
time.
Yeah.
People were
Thank
saying
God.
there was no one there, so
Everybody moves.
Prime
But,
spot to go.
It was.
Time's not gonna change. and then St. Elmo's is like a lot of people listening probably, what about St. Elmo's? People go eat there. And I think later is where they go to Prime when it turns into the bar.
Yeah.
St. Elmo's tough to get into. Prime, probably because we knew Matt and he made the reservation.
Yeah.
That probably helped.
Good
Matt
times.
from ESPN. That's probably why we got that.
Matt
too.
from ESPN.
Matt from ESPN. Matt from SportsCenter. Matt from Joplin, actually from Lamar, Missouri. Then he moved to the big city.
Football
Joplin.
powerhouse, man. We don't talk about how much of a high school football Class 2 powerhouse Lamar is.
Really?
Lamar.
Yeah, you're right, Tucker. We don't.
We don't know.
They have won a lot.
Please let
of
us know in the
state
comment section if you knew that Lamar, Missouri football team was a powerhouse. Let us know in the comment section.
Love
Right.
that.
What goes on up here?
If you do, Tucker will send you a personalized video.
Sure.
Yeah, he's literally pimping himself out.
He's basically turning into like his own cameo now.
Yeah,
I should probably charge for that.
you should.
You ever want to chug a seltzer? Text
We'll
Tucker.
pay you to chug a seltzer. That's the thing. We're trying to figure out if we should have Tucker run the 40 or chug a 40.
Yeah, that's what Matt Miller brought up to us.
Yeah.
We were.
He's like, which could he do quicker? I'm like, he could probably chug a 40 quicker.
I don't know.
That is a phenomenal.
I definitely think I can run a
Contest.
40 better, faster.
Okay.
I don't think I can chug a 40.
We'll see. We can hit up a gas station.
There's Liquorland just
No,
it's
liquor
Liquor
barn. Get it
Liquor
right.
barn. All right, let's
Yeah.
wrap this one up. Final takeaways, Haley.
Final takeaway is I'm really excited for the draft experience that we get to go be a part of. But takeaway, it is if you're ever considering, or if you're ever a small media company, or if you're just an individual and you're kind of maybe at a crossroads of trying to figure out where you want to be, this is a great place to get credentialed for. It's a great place to be. You're not going to have all the access in the world, but at least get that little red lanyard on you and start meeting and greeting people. And this is a wonderful opportunity, not just for people who are obviously are trying to get in the NFL, but people who are just trying to break into the space in the media terms.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've had
It's a good
multiple
place to
people
be.
come up and ask, like, hey, how did you do this? I'm like, you just got to start.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be good to start. You don't realize that it's bad when
Yeah.
you're doing it until
But
you
rubbing
get better at
elbows
it.
with people here is the place to be.
Yeah, and for the most part, a lot of the media, at least the media that we know that we interact with, are very nice and very helpful.
Yeah.
And there are enough people around here that have been in those shoes before that know how intimidating it can be to step into these kinds of situations and feel comfortable and feel like, hey, am I okay to ask a question here? I do this. You just got to go and do it.
Yeah.
There's no dumb questions. That's true. There are dumb questions, but everybody's fine with it because
Yeah.
you're kind of used to it at this point. So you come, you do stuff, you learn. You learn that you can't stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning drinking old fashions at Prime and then try to be at work 4 hours later.
Biggest takeaway, Tucker?
Drink water in between is my biggest takeaway. No, I do think there's some really good wide receivers in this draft. And I think that the Chiefs are going to have I think the Chiefs are going to have a lot of options at wide receiver,
Okay.
whether that's day 1 or day 2. Even into day 3, I think they can find some valuable contributor to the wide receiver room. Wouldn't be surprised if they take 2 of them.
Yeah. And my biggest takeaway that I feel differently after leaving here is that I'm not confident L'Jarius Sneed's going to be on this team long term. And we don't know how it's going to play out. There could be leveraging. There's different reasons that things can be reported and leaked, and that's part of it. But in general, I'm more believing that L'Jarius Sneed might not be on the team. If that's the case, taking a corner in the first round might not seem like a need, but there are some really good corners. If somebody falls, somebody's going to fall. And over the next 2 months, there's going to be 86 players that are projected first-round picks. There's going to be somebody at 32 that you didn't think was going to be there. And if L'Jarius Sneed's not on this team and you look at the roster, yes, Jalen Watson. Yes, they could sign a veteran, or you could just draft somebody. And generally what Brett Veach and them would do is they will sign a veteran who you could say, the most optimistic fan could say, hey, that guy could start and be pretty good, but we could still draft somebody. Like, that's the perfect situation to be in. It's where you fill it with not the marquee free agents, you fill with veterans who could start if you need to. You get the draft, take the best player. I'm more open and more needing to go and maybe keep an eye on cornerbacks a little bit more in this draft than I thought, because I'm just less confident that L'Jarius Sneed and the Chiefs are going to reach something. And everything that we're hearing is Atlanta. Like, as far as Nuggets, that team that might be interested in trading for L'Jarius Sneed would be Atlanta. And as far as Chris Jones, Houston. And that's not a huge surprise. I think they put that out there already. Yeah. But Houston's got a ton of money. They've got a young edge rusher in Will Anderson who's a stud. They want to take that next step. They need a marquee defensive guy in the middle of that defense to change the culture and change what they got. And that's why we want to keep them. So I got to get that figured out. But yeah.
Well, a lot to be figured out here in the next couple of days, and if not weeks, until things are really hammered together. And, we got a couple more days of the combine going on here, and then the draft, and we're going to have a lot of coverage to bring you guys. But again, thank you guys for joining us here in Indy for the NFL Combine. For myself, BJ, and Tucker, we will see you guys next time.